I'm Reverend Dr. Jonathan Zenz. I am the senior minister here at Unity of Tucson, and we are a loving and inclusive spiritual center where we join every single week on Sundays and through other events that we have here at Unity of Tucson in order that we may provide a safe, loving, and inclusive space where all people can explore the principles of New Thought. New Thought is the spiritual philosophy that we teach here. And what I have found is that the adoption of New Thought in my life has allowed me to develop a mastery of spiritual understanding, find personal purpose, and also develop a spiritual path. And it has all worked to enhance the quality of my life. And so that's what we are doing here. This is the reason I show up every week. I don't know why you show up every week. But I imagine that it's because something resonates within you, right? Now, one of the things I also like to say is that you may not believe everything you hear today, and that's actually, I think, a really good thing, to always be questioning what you're hearing, what your beliefs are, to really explore the notion of what your beliefs are, because one of the fundamental premises of the teaching of New Thought is, as the master teacher Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. And so our beliefs are creating the construct and the experience of our lives. And so if something does butt up against your belief system here today, just be willing to take a look at it and say, hey, does this work better for me? Or maybe this works better for me. You get to decide. You are in a place of infinite decision. And I love the power of decision. It's one of the things that has made my life better. And in the outflow of what you determine, your life will go in that direction. So I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not here to tell you what to think. That is entirely your responsibility. I'm just here to offer the tenets of the philosophy. I'm here to offer a teaching, and you get to decide what to do with it. So that song has a resonance for me. It's from it's from a musical. You know what's funny is that every single featured song this month are all from musicals. And we don't always do that. I mean, we do other genres of music, but this month they're all from musicals. If you're new to our community, this is who I am. But it has a particular resonance for me because it's a musical that I've always loved. It's called Into the Woods, and it premiered on Broadway decades ago. But there was a movie version of it that came out about 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. And that movie, there was a coincidental kind of timing thing where my adopted mom had passed away. And this song always makes me think about her. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. And I think that the very notion that, there's that lyric, that the lyric that goes, sometimes people leave you halfway through the woods, that's the one that always gets me. It's the one that always gets me. And I'm so grateful to you for inviting this experience of singing this song with you and getting to sing it with you. I'm honored. Thank you, Aaron. And I feel both, I love and I feel challenged as well by the sentiment of the song. Because, boy, doesn't it feel like we're alone sometimes? Like in life can feel really isolated. But I really hold firm in my resolve that no one is alone. I really hold firm in that resolve within my own mind and within my own heart and within the way that I choose to experience this thing called life. And that's the thing. We can believe we are alone, and that belief will create the construct in our experience of feeling alone, but we are not relegated to believe that, and we do not have to maintain that frame of mind and that frame of heart. And the reason I know that no one is alone is because what I have adopted into my own life is a basic tenet of this philosophy, which is God is all there is. And so even if I feel separate from or alone, I always have that divine power, that divine presence. Cannot be any closer to me because it is me, and it is you. And so from that point of view, I am never alone. I am never alone. I spent some time, this is the weirdest segue ever. I spent some time yesterday, Saturday. If you know me, you know I like my social media. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media, but I spent some time Saturday saying goodbye to TikTok. I don't know what the future of TikTok holds, but what I will tell you is that it was Ray, Laura's husband, who made his transition several years ago, who kind of introduced me to the idea that it was okay to look at TikTok, because I was one of those people like, oh, TikTok, I'm not going to get involved with that. And then, of course, I start looking at TikTok, and I would say that I developed a community of people that I was engaged with that would come up on my page, the creators that I resonated with, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed. It's not a substitute for in-person experiences. I want to be really clear. I know that. I know it is not a substitute for in-person experiences. But here's the thing that I'm going to acknowledge. Social media is with us now. And so we can poo-poo it all we want, but it is part of our life, our culture, our experience. And here's the thing about social media. I do believe that it can foster connection when it is used mindfully. I believe that that is possible. When I mentioned earlier in the service that we have people who watch us from all over the world, the reason that we have people who watch us from all over the world is because of engagement on social media, to say there are communities that are teaching a philosophy that is inviting us to know the best truth of ourselves. And so it is through social media that I've connected with people in Nigeria, and we have connections in Sweden and Canada and Japan and Cuba, and all over the world we have people who are connected and watch us on a consistent basis. And not just all over the world, but all over this country too. It is a way that we are engaging mindfully in utilizing the tool to create a broader community. And I want to be clear too, I love the in-person community. There is great value in that. And I think that we can expand the idea and evolve the idea of what community is. So when used mindfully, we can foster connection. And it can, if we allow it, and we're the ones who are doing the allowing or the disallowing, if we allow it, it can detract from real-world relationships. It can. And so my request for all of us who may or may not be engaged in social media is that if you are engaged in social media, be mindful in the use of that tool. And I think that the reason social media became such an explosion in the world is because at the end of the day, the fundamental thing I think we all desire more than anything else, and I'm not even going to say it's love, what I think we all desire more than anything else is connection. That's why we find ourselves drawn to spiritual community. That is why we are drawn to an experience like this. It is why people enjoy the fellowship following the celebration, because there is a desire for connection. And the question that comes up for me is, how can we engage in the outflow and the inflow and be in the infinite circulation of connection more profoundly today than ever before? This is one reason that I feel that spiritual community will always have a place in our society. There will always be a call, there will always be a need for places to gather, despite what the news may say or the reports or the statistics may say, which is churches are closing, spiritual communities are dwindling. And I think the reason that that is happening, why that seems to be the case right now, glasses are off, why that seems to be the case right now is because I think that there's been a distraction in some spiritual communities where the philosophy is outweighing what people are seeking, which is community. And sometimes the philosophy is then manipulated to invite people into a particular way of being that may be detrimental to others outside of their philosophy. And it's, so I'm being critical. I admit I'm being critical of some other paths that happen sometimes. But these are the things I think about. One of the benefits, I think, of the New Thought spiritual philosophy is that we are inclusive. We welcome We are a welcoming and inclusive philosophy. And as I say each week, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. That's a big one for a lot of people. Because in some other spiritual communities, you are invited to go in, and if you don't believe exactly what you are being told, you are pushed out. That does not engender a loving consciousness of community. And so I invite you to simply reflect upon what it is that is in your heart that draws you to this space. Are you being fed? Are you being fed? I hope so, and I don't use hope lightly. But my desire is that you are being spiritually nourished in this space. Spiritual food is not philosophy. The spiritual food is not in the philosophy. The spiritual food is in the connection, the community. And the word community comes basically, if you break it down, it means common unity. The ways in which we find commonalities with one another, the ways that we can grow and thrive and unfold in magnificence with one another. Walking along the path, but not having to mimic each other's paths. We can support each other in the application of this philosophy in our lives. And this, I believe, can combat a feeling of isolation, which I feel is an epidemic in this country right now. People feeling isolated. It is not a requirement to feel that way. It's not. The song, "No One Is Alone," as I was reflecting on it a little more deeply, it speaks to interdependence. And I believe wholeheartedly that interdependence is the path. There is comfort in knowing that there are others who walk with us. And interdependence, like a symphony, right? Like a symphony, suggests this idea that each part, each individualization, every part of the symphony, every part is necessary. Every instrument is necessary. Every melody line is necessary. Each part is necessary to the whole and contributes to the harmony of the experience. Every part is essential. And so what I would like to look into all of your eyes as quickly as I can to say to you is that you are essential. You are essential to this thing called life. And it's not because of any accolades or things that you do in the world. It's simply because you exist that you must be essential to this thing called life. And for that, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. You matter. And I think we can spend a great deal more time mattering in this world and knowing that we matter. But I encourage you to start to move through life from the conscious viewpoint of this affirmation: I matter. Can you say that? I matter. What does that feel like? That's a rhetorical question. What does it feel like to state out loud, I matter? Because there may be people among us who say that out loud, and there's that little voice in the back of the head that says, no, you don't. Look at all of these things that seem to support why you don't matter. The stuff in the world of form is an illusion. The truth of your being is you matter. You are relevant. You are essential to the outflow of this expression. You cannot not be. Did that work? Cannot not be. Yeah. I had to think about it there for a second. So if there is something that comes up in the back of your mind that contradicts your consciousness of mattering, I invite you to rethink that idea and perhaps consider adopting a new belief. That's why this philosophy is called New Thought. Everybody jokes. It's not because there's anything new. It's an ancient wisdom that we offer here. But the new thought part of that ancient wisdom is that we are, each and every one of us, having a new thought in every single moment. And we are endowed with the capacity to have a new thought in every single moment. And we are empowered by the new thoughts we think in every single moment. Now, interdependence, that idea of interdependence, which is the you matter to the whole, it differs from codependence. Ooh. I will say this as a recovering codependent. When we are in a state of codependence, we are sacrificing our personal well-being to maintain the illusion of connection. I will. I was asked to say that again. In a codependent frame of mind, we are sacrificing our own personal well-being to maintain an illusion of connection. Codependency is actually isolationary. That's not a word, but I'm making it a word now. It actually isolates us more. I was in a codependent relationship back at the turn of this century. It's weird to say that, but we're a quarter of a way through this century already. I was in a deeply codependent relationship that turned this century, and I will tell you, when I finally disconnected myself from that relationship and started thinking about what that relationship was, I went on a very significant journey towards interdependence. Now, why don't I say independence? There is a reason I don't say independence. Embracing interdependence allows blending the power of individuality and the richness of collective unity. Independence says, I am going to separate myself from the collective unity. So I like the idea of interdependence. So the adventure in all of this, because that is the theme of this month, adventure. Ooh. The adventure that I'm calling upon each and every one of us to step into right now is the adventure of building and embracing beloved community. Beloved community. And if you saw the Friday email, I highlighted the words in that, love and unity. Building beloved community. We are the creators of the loving community in our minds and hearts, first and foremost. And as we adopt that frame of mind and frame of heart, then what happens is we begin to have the experience in the world of form of beloved community. Now, what that requires, and this is where people get a little nervous, because what is required in building loving community is stepping into the unknown with a courageous heart. Because it's real easy to kind of separate from, to create our little cliques, to create our little social circles and say, this is it, no more. This is my level of comfort. But I think if we break through and allow ourselves to have the experience of a courageous heart, feeling that fear and moving forward despite the fear, then what we will find is that every new connection we make is a glorious adventure into the unknown. I can sense all of the introverts in the room going, absolutely not. No, what is he saying? It's okay to step a toe into it for now. Because here's the thing, as you step that toe in, eventually you start to build resilience. And you can find the magnificence that you seek. Many of us, we're all seeking community. That's what this all boils down to, right? And every new connection, like I said, is an adventure. And I'm telling you, and I can sense it from the introverts in the room, because despite what the gregarious nature you see up here, I am an introvert. People are always surprised when I tell them I am an introvert. I am someone who covets the time, separate from, and I covet smaller interactions. And I get really nervous. And uncomfortable in large group situations. I have managed to compartmentalize those feelings to be in a role as I am in here, and for that I'm grateful. But it took work, conscious work, to step into that. I am not, here's the thing, I can either own introversion, or I can say, it's a part of who I am, I don't need to own it, and I can act and behave in other ways as well. the nature of connection, actually, let me tell you a story about an introvert. I've talked about this person before. I was on a Caribbean cruise in 2014, 11 years ago. And there was a man on that cruise that I met on our final port day. You know, if you've done a Caribbean cruise, you know, you're at sea, you have at-sea days, and then you have port days. And on this particular cruise line, the last port was their private island in the Bahamas, which all the cruise lines have private islands in the Bahamas, right? And they own, and then they build their own infrastructure for, you know, having a beach day. And so, you know, we're on the cruise ship, and we all get tendered over to the private island, and they have this big Ramada portico where they serve lunch. Lots of picnic tables out there, and they're serving lunch for like 3,000 or 4,000 people. And so you get tendered over. You go, you go get your little brown bag lunch, and you go and you find a table and you sit down. And there's this one table, and there was a man sitting at this table all by himself. And I went and I opted to sit down. I just went and said, "Hey, do you mind if I join you?" And he looked up at me, and it was like, the look in his eyes was, "Oh my gosh, you see me. You recognize that I actually am here." And so I sat down, and we started to have a conversation. His name was Harold. He was a podiatrist. These are the little details I remember. But the significant part of that conversation was really all around how he had been on this cruise for a week, and he had felt completely unseen. And I said, you know, you can play a role in allowing yourself to be seen. You know, the minister's always there. Even when I'm on vacation. And he said, "I don't know how." I said, "Just say hello. Take the initiative, because action dismantles the fear. Just say hello." And here's the thing. If you're afraid of rejection, one thing you need to know is you might say hello, and someone's behavior might seem like they're rejecting you. Move on to the next person, because every no means that there's a yes waiting. Because you know how I love acronyms. You know what no means? Next opportunity. So don't get caught up in the no's of life. Just say hello, and you will find your community. So action dismantles fear. Community is a resource for navigating the challenges in our lives, right? We can draw strength in shared experiences. We can give and receive support in times of difficulty. Is there anyone who doesn't ever have any time of difficulty? I saw one hand sort of half go up. It was like, should I joke about this? Maybe not. I don't know. I have had times of difficulty in my life. What I will tell you is that my adoption of this philosophy in my life has diminished the prevalence of times of difficulty in my life. It's not to say that it's completely eliminated, although I do look forward to that day, but it is not a necessity for me to grow any longer. In short, as the song says, someone is on your side. Someone is on your side. I will tell you, I am on your side. If you ever have any doubt, know that someone is on your side. I like to think that this exists here in this spiritual community at Unity of Tucson. There's a call in a book called The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker, where he invites us to engage with spiritual community. When he wrote this, he said, "Do not be alone too much. Keep in circulation with the human race. People are wonderful. God works wonders by means of people. If you are seeking wonders in your life, look to the people in your life, because they are working wonders as expressions of God. For that is who and what each and every one of us is." So how might we get in and keep in circulation with life? How might we do that? by becoming the responsible party in our life to be the expression of love and kindness first and foremost, and know that by being the expression of love and kindness, that is what becomes reflected back to us in our experience. By being love, we may experience more love. By being kind, we may experience more kindness. We are the ones who are responsible. And it is a responsibility that each and every one of us can take to heart. We are the ones who are responsible to joyfully step into the adventure of connection and community. Each and every one of us being a unique expression of the divine. Collectively, we make up the symphony of wholeness. We are unique. We are the expressions, the facets of multiplicity expressing from this unified wholeness. And this today is a call for each and every one of us to engage, remembering that no one is alone, truly. Peace and blessings. You are magnificent. And so with that, please don't put up the slide yet. The home practice this week is probably going to make some people feel a little uncomfortable. But I want you to engage in the home practice, you ready? In the next hour. What is he talking about? When we complete the celebration today, I invite every single person in this room to join in fellowship in Harmony Hall. Every single person. Connect with someone new today. If you find yourself, if you're someone who goes to Harmony Hall and you can put it up now. If you find yourself each week connecting with the same people, right? We sit at the same table, we have the same people, and it's a comfort zone, right? Invite someone new into that circle. And if you feel like you're the newbie, just say hello, or may I join you, and go from there. I'm encouraging everyone to do this in the next hour as we engage in fellowship in Harmony Hall at the completion of the celebration today. And just see what happens. See what new and exciting conversations unfold. See what new friends you might find. That's the home practice this week.